Good morning. I can't let this subject go. I think this will be the last video on this subject, I think, until, you know, more information comes out. But this is on the UFO situation that's going on. And I'm putting it out there that way, and I get it. I appreciate your comments, by the way. I do. And I'm not trying to get you to accept what I think. I'm just telling you what I think. And you guys are letting me know what you think. And that's cool. When it comes to me personally, your opinions on me and what I think, they're none of my business. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny. But, you know, I get some comments that are well thought out, that go against mine. But I feel like I can kind of poke holes in what you're saying. And a lot of it is just the fact that you're just not UFO people. And I understand it. But if you're not, then you've not ever spent any time looking into it. Because if you really looked into it, and the government's interaction with it, the whole Majestic 12 thing, this is all real. It's because you just have this cognitive dissonance kind of thing going on in your brain. You just can't allow yourself to read or look at anything and take it seriously. That's okay. It's okay. The thing is that if it's real, I think it is, then you're setting yourself up for a situation where, when you can't, which I think we're dealing with right now, where you can't deny it. But this is what the government always does. Let's go. You know, they give you this other thing to latch on to that seems more plausible than it being something from another world. Because that's what you need to hear, you know. You need to have that in your brain, and because it's the only way you can make sense of it. I get it, man. I get it. It's totally fine. But again, I mean, if you're just get into the ancient astronaut theory and understand that. Again, and I say this, I've said this in the last couple of videos on the whole Jersey drones situation. There is a historical record that goes back thousands of years of human beings dealing with beings or craft in the sky, presumably from other worlds. A lot of people also don't want to believe the other worlds thing. They can accept that there's some like high level of being that lives under the oceans and under the planet here, that have always been here. That's an interesting take. There's people that they believe that it's the future. So it's humans from the future coming back, you know. Time travel exists. All right, you know, I don't know. I was just watching something this morning on these guys talking about the documentation from the Majestic 12 papers that you can look up and read. I mean, Einstein and Oppenheimer wrote notes in this, and they're talking about all this stuff openly. It all exists. I mean, you're just ignorant. That's all. I'm ignorant about a lot of things. Everybody's ignorant to a lot of stuff. You know, I just happen to live alone. I don't have any women in my life to distract me, no kids. So when I'm into something, I just get into it. And I've gone down the rabbit hole on thousands of subjects over the years. I don't know, thousands sounds like a lot. Maybe that's an exaggeration. I don't know, but a lot of stuff. I mean, every day I'm learning new stuff. It's too much, really. But like last night, I got a phone call from a pretty smart guy, a friend of mine, Sabo, the conservative street artist, right? He is finally publishing his book. He's being tasked with scaling it down, and I'm one of the guys he's featuring in his book, which is a huge honor for me. I don't know that I asked him last night, I think it's only me and his really big time assistant, Mater, who's a real good guy, funny, quirky, he's a friggin' character. He's a friggin' character. Mater. So we're both mentioned in the book, and I'll talk about that here too, so because it's kind of interesting. Because Sabo hit me up last week for a blurb, you know, for the book, and I wrote something. I think it's pretty good writing for what it is. It's a short little thing, and he hadn't read it yet because waiting for his feedback. At the time he asked me for it, he needed it by last Thursday, and I got it to him, and Never heard anything, so we were talking about it. But he called me last night to ask me why I think it's more likely the Jersey drone thing to be UFOs, you know, which is not. Look, of course, when you say UFO, it obviously brings up the idea of aliens, little green men, the Greys. You know, there's all kinds of them, though. I mean, look, you're going to think that anybody who talks about it as a crackpot. I get it. You know, I understand. I understand it. But there's been a lot of credible people. When I say that, already a lot of your brains are going, there's nobody credible if they're talking about it. Okay. I mean, there was this Canadian guy, a parliament member or something, went up in public, talked about, like, there's all these different types of beings from different worlds. We all know about it. You know, plenty of people in government have let the cat out of the bag on this. In recent years especially, there's been meetings and congressional hearings in Washington. They've changed it from UFO to UAP, that's unidentified aerial phenomenon, because of the negative stigma of the term UFO. All the whistleblowers have come out on this. It's accepted. It's a real thing. The government has said that they're real. They don't know what they are. Right now in the Jersey drone thing, they're not talking about any of that, which I find extremely bizarre and interesting. But it's, again, I could tell by your comments, a lot of you just want to accept whatever you're hearing in the media or from the, you know, the government, which are telling you they don't know what they are. All right. Now, again, with the nuclear thing, okay, it doesn't make sense to me. I think during the daytime, like if they're up at night because you can't see so much at night, even though they're lit up, which I think, by the way, the lights aren't there to, you know, that's just mimicking lights to maybe make you feel more comfortable. They're letting us know that they're there and they're not there to harm us. They can do whatever they want. And I've got personal pictures. I keep sharing the links in the videos that you guys aren't looking at them, that I took myself. You know, 2008. I got 2 picture folders on my Facebook page of UFOs in the sky that you can't see with the naked eye. I'm taking pictures and they appear. They're not light infractions or anything. You got to go to those picture folders, look them up, and read what's going on. And I did a whole video on it. The best UFO, UAP pictures you've ever seen. I think that's the title of it, something like that. You should watch that. And I shared the image of the UFO I took over the ocean that I did see with the naked eye. It appeared in one picture, then I took more pictures and it wasn't there, but I cropped it. You could see it. It's pretty similar to what we're seeing over Jersey right now. I'm just saying, you know, it's okay that you don't want to accept it and you want to give me your take, but your take is just what you've been reading that makes you feel the most comfortable. That's what it is. And I understand the brain. I understand how people's minds work. And I also understand that if you like me and you like my videos and I'm putting something out there that just goes against what you will allow yourself to accept mentally, it hurts you a little bit because you don't want me to have these thoughts because you like me in all these other areas. You got to let that go, man. You got to let that go. That's a psychological issue that you have. I get it. I'm the same way with people. I talk about it all the time where, I mean, you know, on another subject matter, you can talk about De Niro or Bruce Springsteen or something, and, you know, once they start saying all these stupid things and supporting bad ideas and all that you don't want to watch their stuff anymore. I get it. If my opinion is going to rub you to the point where you're, oh crap, I came to work instead of getting the material. I screwed up. I forgot I was supposed to go get material. Let's go do that. Let's keep talking on the road here. See what happens. I start talking and then forget what I was doing. So Sabo asked me last night and I told him, I said, well, here's the deal. And I brought up all the historical stuff going back again to the Vedic texts and going to, I mean, look, humans have left evidence set for us, going all the way back millennia, right? I mean, there's cave drawings that are UFOs. It's clearly what's going on. You know, petroglyphs. There's all kinds of wild stuff. Of course, archaeologists, whatnot, they want to spin a lot of it. They want to say, well, they were just on psychedelic mushrooms or anything to take you away from it. But again, I say this all the time. When you talk about the Bible and the stories in the Bible, it just makes way more sense. And every culture on every continent all over the planet has the same stories. People came down from the heavens and created us. You can get into Zechariah Sitchin stuff, and of course there's people that they read the rebuttals to that, and they come up with all these excuses so that they don't have to accept that as a reality. This is what you do to your brain. You know, you're like, I can't live on this planet accepting that as a reality, so I have to read this other stuff to latch onto because that's my sanity. That's fine if that's your level of intellect or whatever. And I don't mean that as a dig. Again, I understand it. I'm more open-minded. I'm the type that thinks everything is real. I think everything could be happening, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't lose any sleep over it. To me, that makes more sense than a lot of these other things. So getting back to Sabo, you know, to stay on this subject for just the beginning of it here, then I'll get into his book a little bit. He asked me, and I told him everything I just said to you, basically. And then I hit him with the other stuff that I'm aware of, and you know, you know what it's like driving in LA. I can't tell you how often lately I've been going down a side street and somebody in front of me pulls out and does this kooky K-turn, but they don't know what they're doing. People just don't know how to drive out here. Anyhow, I hit him with all this stuff. He's like, oh, well, thank you. You know, I mean, I know you're a solid guy. You're logical. I get it. And if I'm talking to you personally, it's better. When I'm addressing your comments, it's just easy to see that some of you are taking a lane and you're just not addressing everything I've said in my video. You're ignoring a lot of it. You know, you take one part of it and you're going to go after that one thing. But hey, man, what do you think about this then? You know, what do you think about all this early evidence and things people believed and said and all that going way back thousands of years? All right, so I got this guy blocking a lane. I got a guy opening his car door. He couldn't wait for me to drive through. Because, you know, in this neighborhood, everybody's more important than you are. All right, lady, walking your kid down the middle of the road in a stroller. It's just incredible. It's the vehicle too. If I was driving some new modern car, you know, BMW or something, like, they give you more. It is a thing. I see the look on their faces. They're getting in their, like, you know, $100,000 automobile, and I'm coming down and they just look at me and do whatever they want, and I'm supposed to, you know, kowtow to them. Anyhow, so I talked to Sabo about all that, but then we get into the book a little bit and the blurb I sent him, and I'm excited because I think it was the first thing I ever did with him. This guy just walked. He's going to open his door. Look at this asshole. Just, you don't care. You don't care about anybody else. He's a big fat guy too, so you can tell all he cares about is getting to that donut shop. That's what he wants to do. He's got to get to that donut shop. He's like, sort of sweat breaking out even before he eats the donuts. He's like, I got to get there now. I got to get that sugar fix. Oh my God. Navigating the streets here is crazy. So, I think it was the first hit I did with him, which I believe was the one where we rented a, you know, those orange things you'll see on the side of the road that have the light bulbs in them that have messages for traffic. You know, expect traffic delays next 5 miles or whatever. You'll see them on the highway, sometimes on the city streets. And so he hit me up. He's like, I could use some help with this. Me and Mater, you know, we're doing it. I could use another guy. And I'm renting one of these machines. I'm renting a U-Haul truck. And it was when Obama was running for president and all the fundraisers were happening. And I think that's right. It was it was 2015, so it was the upcoming 2016 election. So maybe Obama was done, right? I don't remember all this, but the point is, we did it, and it was a fun time. I've told some of the stories from that day, but there's a picture of me. This is when Ted Cruz was running, and Sabo was a big Ted Cruz fan at the time. You know, Sabo's a Republican, you know, ardent conservative. That's his mindset. And he's been political ever since he was a kid. So we rent this thing and we're taking all over the place. And we are in Brentwood. And we got on the side of the road, and there's a picture of me sitting on it. And it's a pretty good picture of me, if I do say so myself. Maybe if I might be able to find it and put it at the end of this video, which will end here any moment. But I'm sitting on it smiling. I got a big smile on my face. And one of the things I did for him that day was I brought my camera with me, my good Nikon, and I took pictures of the whole day. And he took my picture. I gave him the card for that, so he had all the pictures. And I told him when I saw the picture, I said, dude, this is an image that you should put out there and share, because it's not about me. It shows us having a good time. You know, Ted Cruz for president, big smile on my face. Clearly we're goofing around and having fun. And at that time, as it is now, right, as we see today, you know, the left doesn't know how to have fun. They have no sense of humor. And we were all laughing and having a good time. And people were coming by and honking and giving us the thumbs up. And this was, you know, left-wing heaven, right? Brentwood. It was amazing. I couldn't believe how happy people were and having a good time with it. That's why I never believe the elections in California. I definitely think the elections in California are rigged. So he called me last week, this is Sabo, about the book. He's like, I got that picture of you where you're smiling. It's got the Ted Cruz for president thing, and it's in the book. And I'm asking you if you wouldn't mind writing up a little blurb for me. I want to put it underneath that picture. And so that's what I did. And I don't remember it verbatim, but it's along the lines of, I kind of said, hey, that's what was happening that day. I think I said something like, I've never been like overtly political. When I started paying more attention to it, I just started getting upset about things. And, you know, I heard myself complaining like other people. And I didn't want to be one of those people who's just complaining all the time, not doing anything. So I just started being quiet about it until I met him. And then he asked me to help him. And for 5 years, I helped him do all these hits, climbing billboards and changing the billboards around. And we changed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to Once Upon a Time in Pedowood. We had Jeffrey Epstein's head up there, and the guy from the 60s, the director, you know, who's, you know, the statutory rape guy, married to Sharon Tate. I can't think of his name right now. And but we did a lot of stuff before that together. And I mentioned in the blurb how I felt about it at the time, because I felt good. I felt like I was actually doing something instead of just talking and not doing something. I was participating. And I thought of us, me and Sabo and the other people that helped him out, as the modern day Sons of Liberty. If you don't know the Sons of Liberty, there's actually a pretty good series on it. It's a little TV series that went on for, you know, a dozen episodes or something. You should get the DVD. Sons of Liberty. I think it was a History Channel thing. And those were young guys, man, in Boston that just goofed on the British the whole time. They're the guys that did the Boston Tea Party, right? They dressed up as Indians, went out to the ship and busted open all these boxes of tea and dumped it into the ocean. That's what we were doing. We were doing the same thing the Sons of Liberty was doing, which was, you know, sticking a finger in the eye of authority and the bullshit, and trying to make people see a different reality. That's what was going on there. So that's how I felt at the time. That's how I still feel about it. And part of me wishes I was still doing something in that. And I could if I wanted to, but I'm getting older. I mean, I'll be 58 this month, and That was only a couple years ago when you think about it. So I was in my 50s the whole time. 3 o'clock in the morning, climbing a billboard like a gorilla. Death grip, bam, 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 60 feet in the air sometimes, changing these billboards around. And it was fun. Didn't see any UFOs, though, when I was doing that. I've had people tell me for years out here, not recently even, but even before it was becoming more popular, a lot of my friends have seen crazy stuff happen right over the city. UFOs shoot up out of the ground. I have a picture where I was driving up to Northern California with this woman friend of mine who's an actress. She's been in a lot of stuff. Gorgeous Chinese lady. And I took pictures as we were driving of the mountains, and there's this craft. I use it as my, matter of fact, maybe I'll do it later. I use it as my cover picture on my Facebook page from time to time. It's like these two white lights that are coming out. It's one picture, but they will fly like this. They jump from space to space. So it's ding, ding, ding. So you'll see the same thing. One of them will be really in focus, and getting to that point, there's one here, 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 and they're not as in focus until they get to the last one, because they jump through time, the way that they fly around, and you don't see it with the eye, which gets me back to the lights. They have lights not because they want the FAA to know that they're up there. They use them for you to notice that they're there for a purpose. But the lights can also, this is my opinion, this is what I came up with. If you go back to my UFO picture folder on my Facebook page, which are public. You don't have to be my friend on there. A brief note about friendships. If people keep sending me, I don't accept them on the Facebook page unless I know you. I've had some sort of interaction with you already. So if I had an interaction with you and I just don't remember, and you're sending me a friend's request on Facebook, send me a note. Let me know who the hell you are. Remind me, because I don't want kooky people on there. I gotta know I can trust you. So at any rate, when I was taking those pictures, I was taking pictures of the full moon. The images of the UFOs were also in those images. So I started taking pictures at night with a much better camera and better lenses, and captured all kinds of different UFOs. There's different styles. It's amazing. You got to go look. If you're curious, you should look. Again, there's a whole bunch of you here that are going to be like, nah, not real, not even going to look. Not going to waste my time. It's all bullshit. Not going to waste my time. All right, well, then that's where your head is at. That's fine. I'm not going to twist your arm, try to convince you. Don't really care that much about it. I'm just putting my opinion out. So I think that's going to be it for now on this whole subject. I just wanted to kind of talk to the comments a little bit. I brought up Sabo because he called me specifically to ask my opinion on it. I gave him my opinion, which he accepted. Doesn't mean he believes the same way I do, but at least he has things in his head that he didn't have in there before. And this is all I'm ever trying to do. I'm putting things out there where if you're interested in it, look up the things I've mentioned. Watch the podcast with the people there. Look at Lou Elizondo, right? The guy worked for ATIP for years. Gave up a really good government job with good pay and benefits and everything because he wanted to get the truth out to the citizenry of the world. This is real. You don't know who Lou Elizondo is, probably, a lot of you, right? A lot of you who don't want to accept any of this as reality, you don't even know who the key players are because you're not participating in it. You're not researching it. You don't know what you're talking about, which is okay. But admit that. Just admit, I don't believe in it, never have, don't think it's real. Okay. Same thing with Bigfoot. A lot of people don't believe it. I had my experience. I was only a few feet from one. I know it's real. So, and I also understand, because for years I understood, I'd watch these shows and people be talking about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or UFOs. Sometimes they put all that shit together. And they look manic in their faces. I saw this thing, and after it started happening to me, and I started having those experiences, I understood what I'm seeing in those other people, right? So that's the thing. You didn't believe it, or never even thought of it. Now you're seeing it, experiencing it, and you're like, it's real. So and they're also reliving it when they're telling that story, especially in front of the camera. And when you look at their eyes, they seem a little kooky. But that's because they've realized this is a real thing. So for a lot of you, you won't believe anything until you personally experience it and personally see it. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But, you know, just because you have your belief system based on not personally experiencing something, you shouldn't be crapping on the people who have seen it and have experienced it. That's all I'm saying. Because, again, it's not about me, but there's other people. The more it's talked about, the more people are comfortable with coming out and discussing it. So, I mean, the Phoenix lights that happened many years ago over Phoenix, so many people have come out on that. Even Kurt Russell, it's pretty interesting, who were there and saw it. It's real. Giant friggin' craft, multiple football fields across, slowly moving over the whole city. You know, with some lights on it, going around the perimeter to the point. Silent. Dead silent. And there's video footage of it. A lot of video footage of it from different angles, from different people who shot it. Still no explanation, you know. So, again, to some of you, that was the U.S. government, of course. Of course. And just to really briefly get back to what we're seeing here on the footage that I'm looking at, I posted a video on my Facebook page yesterday. This guy, I forget the site, but it's a YouTube channel. And what they're doing is they're collecting the latest videos that are shot by people and putting it up there. And they're freeze framing it, and some of it's in pretty good focus. And it's nothing that you've ever seen before. No means of propulsion. No propellers. No fixed wing. Wild stuff, man. Many different types. And, yeah, there's just stuff going on. And our government does know about it. So, again, you don't have to think the way I do. Not trying to get you to accept that. I'm just telling you. This is what I think. So with that, we'll leave this alone now. Again, unless something like really, really crazy happens. But one last comment that I want to address to some guys, like, it's not so easy just to pick up and go. Like, because I said, if you want to believe what the government's telling you, that there's a nuclear device in New Jersey that's going to go off, which, here's the thing, it's not just happening in New Jersey. Start watching more YouTube videos on this. People are posting this stuff. It's all over the world. It's a worldwide phenomenon happening right now. I watched one it was in Phoenix, just within the last 24 hours or so, where one of these things is here and another one comes down, takes over it, and then the first one just drops to the ground. So there's weird stuff happening everywhere. So it's not just the Jersey drones. Stop fixating on that. I put it in the title because that's the hip thing right now. It's not helping my channel. I wish it would. I am trying to get more viewer eyeballs on this, but, you know, I'm just a guy. I don't think the algorithm is really set up for me here. Not enough of you are subscribed. Not enough of you pound that like button, you know. I know it's probably my fault because I don't remind you to do it, but I kind of figure you should know that by now, you know, if you're watching YouTube videos. And I think really I just have a core group of people that pretty much try to watch every video I put out. Because my average numbers on like my Sunday night videos, they're like, you know, 1,000 views, 1,400 views, you know, something like that I can consistently count on. Of course, if Sarah's involved or something like that, they go up. And my normal middle of the week videos like this one, I mean, if it gets 500 views, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good, you know. So it's not like I'm some big time YouTuber person. I am addressing this because I hope it will increase numbers to a certain extent, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is because I've been into this for decades, and I've always believed. I've had my own stuff. I had dreams when I was a kid. I have a whole video on this recurring nightmare dream that I put up. I should find that. Maybe hopefully I'll remember this video later and find that video for you, because it was this recurring dream. It was a nightmare. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, where I'm assuming I'm an adult, and I'm at a party. It's like a black tie party. People are dressed really well, women in gowns, men in suits or tuxedos or whatever. And pretty much everybody in the room had a reptilian head. Yeah. And I was a kid. You know, I wasn't a UFO person. I didn't know anything about that stuff when I was a kid. And it was a scary friggin' nightmare. I'd be all clammy and cold and sweaty, you know, sweaty and cold at the same time, which doesn't make any sense. And that nightmare went on for years when I was young. There's a few others like that too. And I had this other dream when I was young where it was all white and cloudy, and I see Christ, what looks like Jesus, and then from his left shoulder down on an echelon, you know, there's all these different guys, all different races, black guy, Asian guy, you know, whatever. And the last guy was my dad's Uncle Frank. I can only see all of them from here up. Like they were all wearing like a white gown thing, and very cloudy white, you know, very brilliant and peaceful. There's nothing scary about it. And Frank's talking to me, but I have no idea what he's saying. And I wake up in the morning and I tell my mom, hey, I just had this dream. And I tell her exactly what I just told you. And she's like, her mouth hit the ground. She says, well, your Uncle Frank died last night. You know, so he came to me in this dream. My dream life has always been very interesting. So I guess maybe that kind of helps me to be open to stuff, especially my premonition dreams. Like I know there's something going on beyond what many of us can understand or conceptualize or accept as a reality, because the way my life is. I mean, I've taken my own UFO pictures. I've had a Bigfoot experience. I have premonition dreams. I dream things sometimes that happen, you know, the next day or years later, whatever, and it's exactly as I dreamt it. And I mentioned this in the earlier videos, I had this recurring dream just within the last 2 years where, and I had this dream multiple times, and each time was like in a different spot. And sometimes it was nighttime, sometimes it was daytime, where I go outside, everybody's outside looking up, and the sky is full of UFOs. Different than what we're seeing in this footage. They're round, we see the bottoms, they have different color light. Each one was different color lights on the bottom, and they were massive, you know, like city blocks large. I'm sure that's just a plane. Yeah. It's the Ray Liotta. What's going on? From, what was that, Goodfellas, I think? I got that as my screenshot on the YouTube channel right now. All right. I've been screwing off long enough. The beauty of what I'm doing right now is I'm starting late this morning because it's too chilly to get going on what I want to do. And I don't have to do like a full 8 hours. I'm working on this house where I have my workshop for the Johnsons. They're the people who own the house, really sweet people. And I only need to put a couple hours in a day on their stuff. So I'm going to get to that right now. But I appreciate you being here. Hopefully you have an open mind. Again, I don't mind if you don't agree with me and you want to comment about it. That's fine. Absolutely fine. I want to hear what you have to say. It's just that I've put enough thought into it already. I see what's going on out there, and I'm speaking to it with my opinion on what I think, knowing what you're already going to type. I already read it, already looked at it, already watched the videos. I already know what they're saying as an excuse. But they've always come out with excuses for things. And somebody else said that the lights over Washington, D.C., I mentioned it happened, I think it was 1950. Well, that was proven to be a reflect. No, it wasn't. You're reading an excuse for it that you're accepting as reality because you can't accept. You don't want to accept that it could be a UFO. But when you really look at it, and then you got, maybe, I don't want to be that guy here, and maybe I should be. Maybe it would be a better video if I went and, I just don't have the technology to sit here and edit. Like, I'm not going to waste that time taking all these different clips and making that video to show you everything I'm saying, because then you're just relying on me anyhow. I want you to go look this stuff up for yourself. There is a multitude of videos on UFOs over Washington, D.C., 1952. And you can Google it, and there's newspapers, and it's the front page of the newspaper with the pictures. Look at the thing that happened in L.A., the L.A. UFO incident during World War II, where they're shooting at this craft, and it's lit up. And you can see the outline of a spaceship, and they're shooting at it, and nothing ever came down. And there's more to that, because there was more than one, and it went down the coast, and they scrambled planes to go after it. One of the UFO pictures I have looks exactly like that craft. Right? It's in my Facebook photos, which you don't have to be a friend to look at. They're public, those folders. So instead of just poo-pooing it or just accepting, like you read, like, because it's the algorithm with your YouTube and everything and your Google, whatnot, the way they set it up, when you Google stuff, oftentimes the first stuff for 10 items or more are the ones that are trying to debunk it and getting you to believe that it's not a real thing, which makes sense. You got to go deeper. So, but again, for a lot of you, until you experience it yourself, you're just not going to accept it. And I just wish you had more of an open mind and were less inclined to attack people who have different beliefs than yours. That's all. Not that I think that your comments are attacks. Most of you have been really good about it. But the snarkiness sometimes that I read in them, it's like, okay, it's fine. But I will say, I pick up on this behavior. And if you're doing that to me in the comments, you're probably like that a lot of the time with a lot of people in your life. And this gets to a Sunday night chat thing, you know, like I'm always trying to help you be better people. So I'm always trying to work on being a better person myself. That's not a nice way to be with people. You probably don't have a lot of people in your life. Maybe you think that's a better way to be. A lot of people subscribe to that. There are times in my life when I think having less people in my life is better. I get that. But if you're using that as a mechanism to keep people away, then the only people around you are the kind of people that are fine with you being snarky to them all the time. I don't know. That seems like low self-esteem to me on their part. I don't know. I could be wrong. Just working on being nicer, you know. Look into the history on this stuff. Read the 12th Planet. Read the Epic of Gilgamesh. Look into the Vedic texts. Watch some episodes of Ancient Aliens, you know. And then look up the stuff that they show there. The positive and negative. Expand your mind. Yeah. You only use this much of your brain. Why don't you try using more of it, you know? It's fun. I'd rather live in a world where all this is real than a world where none of it's real and I become some sort of cynical person. Because cynical people, I've noticed, don't seem to be happy people. And I prefer being happy. Have a good day. Be kind to one another. And I'll catch you in the next one.